That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. And it's the most wonderful time of the year. That's right, it's the Royal Rumble. And I am very excited for this one. A lot of great stuff going on. And let's get right into the prediction. Now, more than likely, first match on the main card, kick us right off white hot, is the Women's Royal Rumble. That's right, since about 2016, the women have had their own branded Rumble. There have been a few crossovers into the men's. China was the first one. I believe Kana, aka Awesome Kong, was one. Beth Phoenix, Nia Jax. But now the women have their own, and it's going to be an interesting one because as of this recording, I'm recording this like way before SmackDown starts at 8. We have about 7 participants announced for the Royal Rumble. So, we have Liv Morgan. She says she's going to start off at number 1, which, that could be interesting. Candice LeRae, who recent returned with her hubby Johnny Gargano. Rhea Ripley, who just returned from injury, I'd say post SummerSlam. So that's going to be a fun one. Raquel Rodriguez, relative main roster newcomer, uh, definitely big in size. Shayna Baszler, who I'd say is proficient in elimination type matches, although that was the Elimination Chamber. Selena Vega, who hasn't wrestled in a while, but she has been managing Legado del Fantasma. And Emma, who is another recent return, that was Tenille Dashwood of Impact. Uh, I'm not going to announce who I think is going to win yet. I'm going to first do surprises, which there's probably going to be a couple of them. I'm going to predict the Iron Woman, the woman who's going to go from really early on and just run the show, and most eliminations, which could be an interesting one. Surprises. That's going to be an interesting one because there's definitely a lot on the table here. I think Naomi is going to make her return. The last time we heard anything of her, she and Sasha Banks walked out of WWE, relinquishing their tag straps due to a conflict in booking in which they felt like they were being a little disrespected as tag champs, in which, Vince didn't really like tag wrestling. Sasha Banks has actually recently debuted at New Japan, which is crazy. She's going after Kairi and the IWGP Women's title. Naomi has been really quiet on the wrestling front. I believe she was in attendance at the Tokyo Dome when Mercedes Moné, I love that, made her debut for New Japan. So a lot of people thought she would be joining her there. But I think with Triple H at head of creative, I think Naomi comes back and maybe she joins the Bloodline? Question mark. I don't know. I think that would be interesting. She's married to Jimmy Uso, I believe. So we got some familial connections there, and I feel like it could be a good representation. And honestly, I'm going to put this woman in here because she's just so good. She's been a producer for WWE for a couple years now and deserves all the flowers. Molly Holly makes it into another Rumble. She has been fantastic. She hasn't lost a step, I don't believe. And that's going to be a fun one. Who else? There's a rumor going around. Nia Jax might be coming back. No, please, no. The only reason to bring her back is to get heat, because she's the worst. Um, God, who else would be a nice comeback? Beth Phoenix, continue her rivalry with Rhea Ripley, especially when Rhea Ripley took her out with a concerto at Extreme Rules, I believe it was. Yeah, Extreme Rules. So we haven't seen Beth since then. Yeah, she hasn't even been announcing for NXT lately, so would be a nice comeback for her. Forbidden Door. I've heard they've been in WWE have been in contact with Kyrie. Considering she's a former NXT Women's Champion. It's a possibility. There's way too many surprises for this one for now. I'm gonna leave it at that. Now I'm gonna go with my Iron Woman, and I think this is where you kind of rebuild Liv Morgan. Now, I know Liv has had a bit of a lackluster run with the SmackDown Women's title, and then lost it to Ronda Rousey, which that has also been a bit of a situation. And now Charlotte Flair has the SmackDown Women's title, so we'll see what happens there. I do believe Liv is going to at least make it to the final four. Maybe not so much the final two, but I think a final four spot for Liv would kind of rebuild some interest and some backing for Liv Morgan. Most eliminations, I think I'm gonna go Raquel Rodriguez. Like, I know she's dealing with a hurt arm, although I think that's just kayfabe. You know, it's not a real injury; it's a work injury. So, yeah, I think Raquel definitely racks up eliminations. And honestly, I look at this field, this very limited field. Only one winner makes the most sense to me and gets me the most excited. It's Rhea Ripley. She has been absolutely killing it on Raw, especially with Judgment Day. Can't believe I'm saying that. And yeah, she's been fantastic teaming with Dominic and going on her own in wrestling matches. So I think Rhea would be the perfect, the perfect woman to win this Rumble. All right, next match on the card, we have a very interesting match, a match where we don't really know what the stipulation is. It is the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. Like, I don't know what it is. It's definitely some sort of advertisement for Mountain Dew Pitch Black, which is a flavor that came out, like, in the early 2000s, I think. And Mountain Dew has been bringing it back, like, the McRib. So, yeah, so this is a little advertisement for it. I believe it's going to be, like, no rules match, and apparently I've heard there's going to be neon involved, whatever the heck that means. But the participants are actually kind of interesting. It's LA Knight, taking on, oh man, I never thought I'd see in WWE again, Bray Wyatt. Now this rivalry has been going a little bit slow, and I do understand that you don't want to overexpose Bray. This is actually his first wrestling match in WWE since coming back, which that's insane to think about, but it does make sense. And considering it's Bray Wyatt's first match back, it's got to be Bray Wyatt. It can't be anyone else. Although I wouldn't hate if LA Knight won. Give him a nice moment. Although I also do believe Uncle Howdy might get involved. If you don't know that, that's kind of this Uh, the only way I can describe him is a really creepy version of the hitchhiking ghosts in the Haunted Mansion ride in the Disney parks. That's the best way I can describe this dude. So yeah, I think we're gonna get something a little bit screwy here, but considering the match stipulations, it makes sense. Next up, we have for the Raw Women's Championship, we have Bianca Belair defending against Alexa Bliss. Now, Alexa Bliss has had her own interactions with Uncle Howdy, considering she was under the control of Bray Wyatt before his release, which that was kind of interesting. um, yeah, I don't think Bliss really wins this unless Uncle Howdy gets involved. Then I could potentially see it. Bianca Belair has been on a roll lately. She won this title back at WrestleMania last year and has had a pretty interesting run. Not the best run in the world, but I do feel like Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley main eventing at least night one of WrestleMania. Yeah, WrestleMania is 2 nights this year again. I feel like Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair would absolutely tear the house down. Next match we have for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship as Roman Reigns defends against Kevin Owens. Now, Roman Reigns obviously has his bloodline. You got Jimmy and Jey Uso, Solo Sikoa, and the MVP of WWE these days, Sami Zayn. Now, Roman is obviously has been dealing with Kevin for a while now. They've had some pretty interesting matches at the Rumble for the titles, including that one where Roman Reigns was handcuffed to a scaffold and Paul Heyman was having trouble getting him out of the handcuffs. Like that was a little weird, but whatever. End of the day, this is Roman's title to retain. No offense to Owens, I like Kevin. He's a hell of a performer. I don't think it's quite his time yet. Unless, of course, Sami Zayn turns on the bloodline and then reveals his master plan was to split up the titles between him and Kevin Owens. That could be, but I think Roman's going to win it here. And finally, we have the Men's Royal Rumble, which is definitely a bit more filled out and definitely a bit more interesting. Participants, we have Kofi Kingston, we have Santos Escobar of Legado del Fantasma, Ricochet, who actually had the only qualifying match for this Rumble. Everyone else just declared, which I'm not a huge fan of, but whatever. U.S. Champion Austin Theory, Seth Rollins. I'm not going to say that middle part because it is kind of dumb. Bobby Lashley, Baron Corbin, Rey Mysterio, Gunther, the Intercontinental Champion, Cody Rhodes making his long-awaited return after a torn bicep injury, I believe it was. That was a nasty injury. I don't even want to think about. Omos, the Nigerian Giant, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, Karrion Kross, and Dominic Mysterio. Now, this is an interesting one because there is a lot of talent in this field, and yet there is still a lot of potential surprises, which I'm going to try to go over. It might take me a little bit, but yeah. I think it's about time. If Otis is going to be in this Rumble, I think you got to put in Scotty 2 Hotty so they can do the worm together. Like, just give us that, WWE. Please. That would be so good. Another surprise entrant. I think maybe from NXT, I think we see Carmelo Hayes, who is a former multiple-time North American champion, although I think he's the current North American champion. I'm not sure. I don't really watch NXT. I'm sorry. Oh God, who else? I think, who would be another? Grayson Waller, I guess. Another NXT call-up. God damn, who else? Hurricane. I always pop to see the Hurricane in the Rumble. He's always fun to see. These last three may be a couple of long shots, but I'm going to shoot my shot. Great Muta. Man hasn't stepped into a WWE ring ever, and he is on his retirement tour. So to give him a bit more flowers, get him to step through that door, I think they give him a spot in the Rumble. Next, I think there's another person backstage who has been working in the WWE's offices lately, Joseph Park, although you might know him by a different name. The Monster Abyss. Like I said, I'm shooting my shot here. I think that would be so awesome. Give Abyss one last run, even if it's a shorty. And then, of course, the biggest question mark, or should I say non-question mark, of this Royal Rumble. If you smell... That's right, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, making his long-awaited WWE return in the Rumble. Now, Iron Man. Honestly, one really comes to mind. Needs a little bit of momentum going into WrestleMania. I think Rollins is the Iron Man. I think he starts at like number 2 or number 3 and maybe goes on to the final 2. I think that could be a lot of fun. Most eliminations, Gunther. It's got to be Gunther. It just makes sense to me. He has been absolutely killing it as Intercontinental Champion. And a nice spot in the Rumble wouldn't hurt. Overall winner. There is 3 options that I think makes the most sense. Cody Rhodes, already announced he's going after the WWE title after his return at WrestleMania. A title his father, Dusty Rhodes, never held. The Rock, obvious family ties. Although that match doesn't really need the title. But, yeah, it would still be nice to see. But I think my pick for winner of the Royal Rumble, and part of the plan this whole time, Sami Zayn. That's right. I think Sami Zayn will be Roman Reigns' challenger at WrestleMania. Now, I have heard the reports saying that they're going to do that challenge at Elimination Chamber and have Sami lose. I don't love that. Like, I get it. Elimination Chamber is in Montreal, Sami's hometown. Get him a nice hometown pop. But only to see him lose, I don't know. That just doesn't sound like a satisfying conclusion to this story. So I think Sami Zayn wins the Rumble, goes on to WrestleMania, and beats Roman Reigns for at least one of its titles. I believe the rumor is they're gonna WWE want to split up the Universal and WWE titles again, and having Sami Zayn win one of them. I gotta think that's the story. I think that's the satisfying ending a lot of us would love to see. And honestly, I'm game. Let's do it. Would I be mad if it's Cody Rhodes? Absolutely not. Cody is probably the most obvious answer for a Royal Rumble win this year. But I think I'm just going to shoot my shot. I'm going to say Sami Zayn. Alright, that is it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your predictions for the Royal Rumble. And I am going to try to have my whole setup to where I could react to the 2 Royal Rumble matches. Meaning you'll be watching me and reacting to the Rumble. I won't show you any Rumble stuff because that might get me in trouble. So, yeah, I'm very excited for this Royal Rumble. I hope you are too. Until next time, happy wrestling, everybody.